That is Sakurajima, and this is the Seishin Juhachi Kippu, a ticket for people with more time than money or sense. Now, Seishin Juhachi Kippu translates loosely as Youthful 18 ticket. And as I'm a youthful 18-year-old, I thought it might be fun to pick one up and just see what we can do with it. Now, the Seishin Juhachi Kippu is an all-you-can-ride ticket. It costs about 12,000 yen, which is about 100 bucks, which sounds expensive, but it has 5 stamps. One stamp equals all you can ride on JR lines for 1 day. So with 5 stamps, you could have one person traveling for 5 days or 5 friends traveling for 1 day together. It's quite versatile, actually. Now, I came down to Kagoshima this afternoon, which is the bottom of the mainland of Japan, where the JR line starts. I'm going to see just how far north we can get and just how cold it's going to get, because I know it's already snowing around Kansai, so it might be an interesting one. Let's get started.
Kagoshima itself is a wonderful city on the coast. Under the shadow of the ever-active Sakurajima, it is the gateway to Yakushima as well as Japan's space program. It has been the backdrop to such films as You Only Live Twice. This is the Magma city where you can challenge Blaine for your volcano badge, and even features a dolphin water road. Regrettably, I do not live in beautiful Kagoshima, so even to arrive at my start point, I had to take the Shinkansen down. Oh, and the irony of taking Japan's most expensive train so that I can take its cheapest one is not lost on me. Venturing out into the dark, day 1 of my fool's journey had begun, and while my hostel was great for the price, it was unfortunately next to a karaoke bar, which made getting a full night's sleep impossible. With another 2 hours before sunrise, I had hoped to catch up on my missed sleep before the first transfer at 7 AM, but this dream was quickly dispelled as I discovered that the first train of the day was also going to be the most uncomfortable. But then, drama. Just as the color was returning to the world, I realized that this was the final stop on the JR line. Only 56 minutes into the journey, could we be faced with the bitter taste of defeat already? Unbeknownst to me, but what should have been obvious from the day's timetable, is that the former JR Kyushu Kagoshima main line between Sendai and Yatsushiro had been purchased and replaced by a private company, the Hisatsu Orange Railway Company, in 2004 when the high-speed JR Kyushu Shinkansen service began. A quick conversation with the station master confirmed my fear that the Seishin Juhachi Kippu could not be used for this section, which would have cost 2,670 yen. However, fortunately, a one-day pass for the railway could be purchased for 1,500 yen. So the dream of crossing Japan for less than $100 was still alive. While disappointed at this additional cost, the Orange Railway just might be the cutest train in Japan. With a good morning from Kumamon, we departed, and the first views of the gorgeous southern coastline of Japan came into view, reinvigorating me after a poor night's rest and first bumpy train. Japan's coast is rugged and beautiful, and I was even able to spot some white-naped cranes, an endangered creature with only 5,000 individuals left in the wild. Regrettably, I was unable to get off at Izumi, a sanctuary for thousands of cranes, during their southbound December journey from Siberia. Before I knew it, the 155-minute trip to Yatsushiro was over, where we rejoined the main JR line. However, the combination of leaving the coastline and an unremarkable landscape over 4 hours, by 2 PM, I was starting to feel the pressure.
We've been sitting on trains for about 7 hours. I'm just waiting for my next transfer, and honestly, it feels so good just to stand up. I'm just going to stand up for the next 20 minutes while I wait for my train. We're about to cross over from Kyushu into Honshu, and spirits are high, still day 1. It is only 2 o'clock though, so another 9 hours of trains today until we get to hopefully Okayama. If there's any train delays then, I'm going to have to find a new place to sleep tonight. But it has a little udon shop over by that blue train, so I might go over there and get some eat. And that's what you might be wondering, is how I'm going to find time for meals and bathroom breaks and stuff. Actually, on the trains, they do usually have a bathroom if you're lucky. For meals, I'm just trying to pick up konbini food when I take a stop, and then have a big meal when I get into my final location for the day. But yeah, I'll see if that udon looks good. Maybe I'll grab some. While I wait, I still have another, let's see, I still have another 21 minutes for the next train. Well, passing into Honshu was a little bit anticlimactic. I thought there'd be a big bridge, but we went under a tunnel, so I didn't get to see. But this is Shimonoseki, and we are officially finished Kyushu. We are into Honshu, the mainland. The next train isn't for another 20 minutes. I guess I could walk down to there in time. Well, maybe I will. Seems like a nice little friendly little town. Shame I can't stay a bit longer and That's not mine, I swear. Alright, back to the trains.
Another endless day. Sitting here as the world goes by, all alone. I miss you. We were good together. What I wouldn't give to just be inside you again, Nozomi. Super Express.
We have arrived in Iwakuni, so we're still in Yamaguchi, but we've made it to the mainland Honshu. That was my longest train for today, and it was a little bit slow, but we've still got about 30 minutes until the next train. So I might leave the station and just go have a look around. That's kind of the fun thing about the Kippu, is that you can leave the station and go back to the same station. It's kind of funny that people like look at you like, didn't you just leave here? Oh, so this is where that bridge is. I've actually always wanted to see this bridge. I didn't know it was here. But unfortunately I don't have time to go see it. And even if I did, it would be nighttime anyway. But it might make for a nice trip in the future. So quite a convenient thing about traveling by trains is that every train stop has a convenient outside. So I just went down to 7-Eleven to get me something to drink. So I'm also going to show you. For dinner today, I'm going to have a smoked salmon and cream cheese with capers. Looks pretty good. I've got a hot lemon. I was looking for hot yuzu, but they didn't seem to have it. It has 1 day's worth of vitamin C, which I probably should get, since I'm eating junk food basically the whole trip. And for dessert, I have some melon pan, which I really like, but I haven't had in a long time. This costs about $5 for all of this, and I'll just eat it on my train. My next train is going to should be arriving in about 3 minutes. And it's going to take another 3 hours. It is 6:35. My train will arrive at 11 in Okayama. And it's 6 degrees at the moment. Hopefully it's not going to get too much colder. I did see some snow on the way down the Shinkansen. It's 11:02 and we've made it to Okayama. So just going to go to my capsule, check the stats for today, look at my trains for tomorrow, and then go to bed. Maybe have an onsen. If there's time, it is an onsen hotel, but it's probably closed by now. It's about 1 degree. It doesn't feel as cold as Kagoshima though. So my first train is in just 4 minutes. Nice. Picked up myself some community lunch. So we have, let's see what we got. We got some BLT, some coffee. I've been drinking these every day because I want to stay with my vitamins. I don't know if they actually do anything. It says 1 day vitamin. So hopefully it's good. And then I got some to snack on, some nuts, and then I got some calamate as a treat.
Soothed from the hot waters of the onsen, but only slightly refreshed from a 5-hour rest in my capsule tomb, with a 1,006 kilometer or 625 mile ride over 18 hours, day 2 had begun. Despite being greeted by a warm, beautiful sunrise, I was nervous about today's journey, the longest and most time-sensitive, with over 13 transfers, many of which only allowed for a minute or two to find the correct train. But my biggest concern would be passing through Shika Prefecture, which was currently facing the largest snowstorm in the last 5 years. The day before even starting my trip, trains between Shika and Gifu had been completely cancelled due to the record snowfall. A friend of mine had been sending me photo updates of the situation in northern Shika, where they are currently snowed in. He also has his own channel, where he makes models by hand, called BP Custom Creations, which is worth checking out if you're into that, just looking out for those small channels. And as we pulled into Himeji, I was beginning to feel the chill.
So it is 7:50 and somehow it got colder. Okayama was about 1 degrees at 6 a.m. and now it's almost 8 a.m. and it's down to 0 degrees. And it really, you feel the difference. I guess there's a little bit of a chill as well. But yeah, we're in Himeji and we've got about 30 minutes to the next train, which means we have just enough time to see Himeji Castle. And by Himeji Castle, I mean, hey look, we saw it, all right, let's go back to the train and get some hot coffee. That's terrible. Himeji Station is actually despite how loud it is, Himeji Station is actually really nice. Even though I just popped out of the station to grab a cup of coffee and take a picture of the castle, then walk back in, the guys didn't even need to show them my ticket, they still recognized me. I mean, I'm pretty recognizable, I suppose, carrying all my gear around. But I guess with all the money I'm saving on this trip, I can spend on extra lattes. Extra foam. Yeah, Himeji's nice. I should come back here one day and do a real video.
Another 2 hours of trains and I was just about to pass my home, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't consider just getting off here and going home to enjoy the holidays. Fortunately, that wasn't the case, and as the train began to cross into Shika Prefecture with distant views of snow on the mountains, the excitement of finding out if this would all be possible was beginning to mount. What happened next was almost too quickly to really process or capture, but there was a line just past Omihachiman where the vast empty crop fields instantly transformed into an endless landscape of fresh white snow. This would be the key moment to see if the trip had any chance at success. Fortunately for me, the line had been cleared earlier that day, but this also meant that stranded travelers were also playing catch-up, and overcrowding from people returning to families for the holidays would mean standing for multiple hours as we drew closer and closer to the heart of Japan.
So it is 10 past 1 and we've passed the halfway mark in Japan. We've arrived in, I think it's Toyohashi. And a 10-minute break here before we transfer. So the next stop will take us through to Hamamatsu and then on to Tokyo. The snow got me a bit worried, but it's actually not too bad here now. It's melted quite a bit.
Passing the halfway point on the trip did little to lift my spirits after 4 hours on foot in a sardine can. But the view certainly made up for that as the sun began to set at the perfect time at what has to be Japan's most iconic view.
Alright, we made it to Tokyo and trains have gotten so much busier, and I remember why I don't really like big cities. Oh, it's so noisy too. But we're just here for 10 minutes and then transferring out. So here's my 10-minute Tokyo tour. I'm going to go to the bathroom and then get on my train and fall asleep for about another hour. And then I have to transfer again.
Shortly after arriving in Japan's largest city, the long hours, short rest, and constant motion was starting to take its toll. I was beginning to suffer from train madness, or densha dementia, and even the smallest things started to become hilarious in my mind as I searched for anything to distract myself from the long trip, such as this town called Cookie.
Put that cookie down! Now!
This is it. This is what? If I take one more step, it'll be the farthest away from home I've ever been.
Come on, Sam. Remember what Bilbo used to say? It's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door.
Of course, this is a train, so we're already hundreds of meters past that point, but still.
Today was by far the longest day. And it's really taken it out of me. 18 hours, just gone midnight. Not sure if I'll be able to check into my hotel or not. -1, and there's snow everywhere. But just tomorrow's the last day, and then we've made it. Oh! Shit, I almost slipped on some ice there. Oh dear, where's their front office? This is actually pretty good for 3,000 yen. In fact, it's quite nice. 14th floor, glass elevator. It's the same square business hotel that every Japanese hotel has. Whew.
Over 1,000 kilometers, all for 2,000 yen, so can't be that. Alright, let's get to bed.
It's actually a really big station. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find a konbini, and everything else seems to close or open around 8 or 9 a.m. So I'm not sure what we're going to be doing for breakfast today. Might just have to get a vending machine. Fortunately, the transfers today are quite forgiving. Not like yesterday. There was one 20-minute transfer, which I was able to get some food. Everything else was like maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And they were hectic transfers too. Like, I had to run across one of them. One of them was like a 1-minute transfer. One of them was the train arrived a minute after, and everyone on the train had to run. It was crazy. But we made it to Fukushima, which was the longest journey. Today's promises to be a little bit easier. We'll roll into Aomori, our finishing point, about 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on which trains I get. Now, I haven't seen this part of Japan, so it should be really interesting, you know? I've never been this north before. Looks really nice. It's meant to be a really nice city. Unfortunately, I'm just here for about 20 minutes. I wasn't able to find any open konbinis in the morning in Fukushima. So I'm going to try and find a konbini, get my lunch, and then find my train and sort out. The sun came up and it was, I have to say, absolutely beautiful. There was like swans and a pink sunrise. There's like snow on the landscape. It's a bit warmer now. Hopefully it's going to be snowing when we get to Aomori.
Slightly rejuvenated with the thought that only 10 hours remained in the journey, I went to find some food. To train hard, you need a good breakfast, but there are some things in life you just can't prepare for, and while examining my pistachio and white chocolate bagel, it happened. Somebody spoke to me?
You are a tourist?
Kind of.
Kind of.
So the strangest thing keeps happening. Since I arrived in northern Japan, people keep coming up to me on the train and talking to me. And that hasn't happened to me in quite a few years in Japan, so quite bizarre. Don't know why though, because I'm supposed to live in the friendliest part of Japan. But just this morning a lady came up to me and told me to come visit Matsushima, which I was going past, so it wasn't too much of a detour, so I thought, why not? I don't know why people don't talk to me more often though, because I'm so nice and approachable and not at all weird. And why'd I add that last part? Now you're going to think.
But seriously, the lovely lady that suggested that I take a detour to Matsushima was one of the best travel tips I've ever received, as I had no idea my route would go right past one of the Nihon Sankei, or 3 views of Japan. Matsushima in Miyagi Prefecture is a collection of 260 tiny pine or Matsu islands, and it is considered one of the most beautiful views in Japan, along with the bridge to heaven Amanohashidate in Kyoto and the floating torii at Itsukushima Shrine in Hiroshima. And seeing the snow fall over these tiny paradises, I couldn't agree more, even if my stop was an utmost brief one.
What the hell? I just found a staircase to nowhere. What is this? Just checking to see if it's a Harry Potter wall. What the hell is that? So it's about noon. We've arrived in Morioka station. It's about 2 degrees, but it doesn't feel that cold, and it's actually started snowing. It's the first snow that I've seen since I kind of started this trip. I mean, I've seen snow, but I haven't seen snowfall. And I think this is actually where Quinlan from Go North Japan lives, and I can't blame him. It's really beautiful here. Pretty unlikely that we'll run into each other though, since I'm only here for the next 20-30 minutes, but may as well go find some food. 5 hours left until we get to Aomori.
But then, drama. For the second time on my trip, I'll be forced to pay an additional fee. Apparently one of today's trains was only partially owned by the Japan Railway Company, and to travel between Morioka and Odate, I would be charged an additional 650 yen, or around $6. As it turns out, there are approximately 10 of these non-JR tracks that are used by JR trains. So it is possible that I could have avoided these fees altogether had I planned a little better, but as I was practically hypnotized at this point by the cozy winter landscape with pines covered in snow, I put that all out of my mind and enjoyed the last leg of my journey. That was until the moment we had feared the most. Time-sensitive transfers were a concern the entire trip. The heavy snowfall was having an effect on the speed of the trains. What should have been a simple 10-minute transfer became 2 minutes overdue. Rushing past people politely as I could, with the alarm that I had set to make sure I did not go over time on the platforms beeping in my ears, I saw something that made my heart sink. The sight of the train I needed. The very final train I needed, no less. Its doors closing right in front of me. That is until I remembered that these trains close their doors to keep in the warmth, and all I really needed to do was press the button to get inside.
Look at this snow. After what I think is 46 hours of trains over 3 days, we have arrived at the top of Honshu. Yeah, this was the shortest day, but it was the best. Not because it was the shortest, but there's just so much cool landscape to see. Unfortunately, we arrived after dark. I can see there's a really cool bridge over there. Maybe you can see a little bit, but it is gorgeous here. You don't even feel the cold, there's just so much snow and it's wonderful. So I'm going to go check into my hotel and then explore the town for a little bit, and then we'll do a recap, I guess, tomorrow. I don't know if we'll be able to see this because it's dark, but this snowdrift is taller than I am. It's absolutely incredible how much snowfall there's been here. It's nice and crunchy too. It's not wet. The roads are wet, but that's because cars are driving on them. An aesthetic little vending machine in the snow. Whoa. Feet dug into it a little bit. The temperature really dropped overnight, but it is beautiful to see Aomori in the daytime. Probably not going to see any dolphins today, but that'd be nice little cap, wouldn't it? So we started off in Kagoshima where it was 6 degrees, and we ended in Aomori where it is minus 6 degrees. It took us over 3 days on the Seishin Juhachi Kippu, 46 hours and only 9,380 yen, which is about $82. So if your time is worthless like mine, then that's great. And it was actually a pretty interesting trip. I got to see a side of Japan that I have never seen before, the west side. However, of course, taking the Shinkansen would have cost about 45,000 yen, and which is about 400 bucks, but only 6 hours. So should you do this? Probably not. Was it a bit fun and kind of an interesting story? Sure. You can actually see Hokkaido if you look very carefully over there. Of course, to see Hokkaido in this sort of weather, you do need to have a pretty high IQ and also be subscribed to the channel. Looks like the blizzard's starting again, so I don't know where I'm going to go now. I've already checked out of my hotel. I have no hotel plans for tonight, so tune in next week to see if I survive. Oh my god, this is going to come found footage, isn't it?